A class of new recruits just getting their feet wet during a global pandemic. One of the female firefighters says it's situations like this that inspired her to be a firefighter in the first place. Staff here say that keeping the kids dancing is not just important for their physical health, but for their mental health as well. You can see behind me heavy smoke coming off of the burning trash. That smoke has been affecting neighbors. Just shy of 3,000 volunteers helped with this year's Rotary Lights, and it is incredible. We're outside of Santa's sleigh here, and I am joined by one of those volunteers, Greg Theris, who is a veteran volunteer, actually. Is that right?
Yes.
Joining me now is Kat Slutton. She is a local activist. Kat, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Hi.
So tell me, why are you out here today? I do have one other volunteer, and this is actually one of his first, this is his first year. So this is Scott Lundeen. Scott, as your first year, what was it like for you?
It was a lot of fun getting to know a lot of the other volunteers.
So vehicles have been coming right through here, and they're taking those donations and dropping them off. Volunteers here are wearing masks. And let me just show you some of the things that they're dropping off this morning. So we have some dental floss. We have some other toiletries that are really useful here, including baby wipes and toothbrushes. A bit quicker, and it still looks amazing. A lot of work went into this, 26 years. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's a perfect night to come out and check it out. Dave, back to you.
All right, Candace.
The show must go on. It's a phrase taking on greater meaning for performers amid the pandemic. And this morning, see how tiny dancers are staying safely on their toes through a tough time.
Hear that sound? The holidays are here. And this is a quick one.
This year is full of new normals. For these tiny, masked dancers, it means putting on their annual holiday performance for friends and family via Zoom.
Having grandparents today on the screen has been so amazing to watch the joy in the kids' faces, to have a special someone here to watch them. And nice that we can provide that opportunity, although we can't gather on a stage.
Cindy Anike is an instructor at Misty's Dance Unlimited in Onalaska. She's continued teaching classes throughout the coronavirus emergency.
When you're dancing in class, it's just like you're dancing as though COVID's not here, and I think that is probably the best part of my job, is that we kind of forget for 30 minutes that COVID is happening.
But they're not forgetting about COVID completely.
Well, definitely there are logistics. So wearing masks, sanitizing hands, keeping kids, we have the dots on the floor so that they stay 6 feet apart.
Staff here say that keeping the kids dancing is not just important for their physical health, but for their mental health as well.
I think normalcy is important for them at this point. I have children myself, and I know that coming to Misty's and dancing and just having carefree time where they can just be themselves and they're not worried about the rules and the restrictions.
And the owner at Misty's Dance, Misty Lown, agrees.
We need kids to have as many normal anchors and milestones in this season as possible. So being able to celebrate their semester of effort with their Christmas cookie social performance is very important.
Misty Lown says they've had 5 cases of coronavirus since the outbreak started. They've limited enrollment as an added safety precaution. And on January 20th, Kamala Harris will officially assume office as the 49th Vice President of the United States. Harris broke down many barriers to make history as the first woman and first woman of color to be elected VP. And she's not alone this morning. Meet the local women in government breaking barriers of their own.
I stopped in one of those little places for breakfast between here and Black River Falls. And I sat down and I looked at my placemat. And on my placemat was a child's drawing of me on the bench. And it basically said, that's what I want to be when I grow up. And I've never forgotten it.
Judge Ramona Gonzalez was first elected to the La Crosse Circuit Court in 1995. Born in the Dominican Republic, her path to becoming judge seemingly impossible.
The journey begins with that first step. My father took the first step when he left a political regime that was crushing people to come to the United States. I took that first step when I went to law school.
There are currently 249 circuit court judges in Wisconsin, and according to the Wisconsin Women's Council, just 73 are women.
You know, for a very long time, I was the only woman judge in this entire part of the state. But having having female leaders in the area has been very, very comforting.
Last year, Kim Smith became the first woman elected mayor of Onalaska. She recently sat down with News 19 for our Hometown Conversation series and spoke about facing adversity in her role.
Anyone who puts herself out in the public, there's going to be a positive, there's going to be a negative, and you do need to have a thick skin, even if it feels personal, even if it hit on a sore spot or something you're already sensitive about.
Smith believes the recent election shows a turning point when it comes to representation in government.
We're not seeing half of the people, half of the women and half men providing representation for the community they serve. So I think this is a pivot point for our country.
Judge Gonzalez points to the recent election as evidence that despite the many disparities in this country, there is hope.
We had more millions of people vote than we have ever had before. For someone who comes from a place where during my childhood people died for the right to vote, to see people get up and do it has been extremely, extremely exciting and rewarding.
And as of 2020, women make up 51% of the U.S. population and account for 23% of Congress, according to the Center for American Women in Politics. Now, more and more women are doing jobs once dominated by men, but that's not true of firefighting. Actually, the U.S. Department of Labor says only 4% of firefighters nationwide are women. And I wanted to find out why. The La Crosse Fire Department has 93 full-time firefighters. 2 are women.
The equity of restrooms, the equity of private changing spaces when you need to get changed, it puts everybody in a bad position, and we're trying our best to work with that.
Fire Chief Ken Gilliam gave me a tour. He says the shared space lacks privacy.
All the bunk rooms are kind of open. There's not a lot of privacy, and it's joint kind of co-ed showers and bathrooms.
But privacy not a concern for the 2 female recruits who want to join the team.
I've got family who's in the fire department. My husband works as a firefighter as well, so it's always been in my bloodline to do it.
A class of new recruits just getting their feet wet during a global pandemic. One of the female firefighters says it's situations like this that inspired her to be a firefighter in the first place.
Right now it's hard sitting back and just watching, but it'll be nice to be in a few weeks, be able to actually help.
The chief came to La Crosse in 2017. He says women recruits are uncommon.
We're limited significantly just by the number of females that are applying to get on the job.
Across the river, Cassie Bueller is the only woman on the La Crescent Fire Department.
When that pager goes off, my heart still kind of skips a beat.
Bueller says the job requires physical skills, but she's been there 9 years.
When you're on the fire ground, you kind of need to have some physical fitness or ability.
Physical standards are a part of the job, something causing concern for Charmaine Sardal.
I work out a lot just to be able to do what other taller, bigger firefighters are able to do.
Then there's the concern about heavy equipment and protective gear that often doesn't fit well.
I think as we've gotten smarter, and certainly some of the benchmarks that we've set at La Crosse, we give every new member a new set of gear.
Despite the challenges, the chief says the job is open to women as much as it is for men.
It's really a fair level playing field for people as far as here's the objectives to meet.
Charmaine agrees.
We obviously in the last few years can all do the job, and that's obvious with the other 2 females on the department at this time.
Now, Wisconsin does not have accurate statistics about the number of women who are members of state fire departments, but the State Fire Chiefs Association is asking for those numbers from the departments for a survey right now. In the meantime, Chief Gilliam is asking for money to address privacy concerns. Now, we are coming up